Once upon a time, buying a computer was a complicated process. You had to go to a store. You had to choose from a few pre-built models. These models often had features you didn't need and lacked ones you wanted. The prices were high and the choices were limited. This was the world of personal computing in the early 1980s. It was a world waiting for a big change, a new idea that would put the power back into the hands of the customer. People wanted more control over the technology they were buying, and the industry was, honestly, pretty slow to respond to this growing demand for personalization and better value. In 1984, a young college student named Michael Dell saw this problem. He saw a better way. From his dorm room at the University of Texas, he started a small company with a simple but powerful idea. What if you could sell computers directly to the people who use them? What if you could skip the middleman, the retail stores that added costs and complexity? This was the beginning of Dell Inc. His vision was not just about selling computers, it was about changing the entire relationship between a technology company and its customers, making it a direct one-on-one conversation. Michael Dell believed that by selling directly, he could offer customers exactly what they wanted. He could build each computer to order. This meant a customer could choose their own processor, memory, and hard drive. It was a revolutionary concept. No more paying for parts you didn't need. No more settling for a machine that wasn't quite right. Dell's approach was about customization and value. It was a promise of a personal computer that was truly personal, built specifically for the individual's unique requirements, a major shift from the one-size-fits-all approach of his competitors. This idea, born in a college dorm, would grow to challenge the biggest names in the industry. It was a simple concept, but it had a huge impact. Dell's direct model was not just a sales tactic, it was a complete business philosophy. It changed how computers were made, sold, and delivered. It put the customer at the center of the entire process, from the initial order to the final delivery. This focus on the customer would propel Dell from a small startup to a global leader in the personal computer market, proving that a great idea could indeed change the world. So, how did this direct model actually work? It was a beautifully simple and efficient system. A customer would contact Dell either by phone or later, through the internet. Instead of talking to a salesperson in a store, they spoke directly with a Dell representative. The customer would specify exactly what they wanted in their computer. They could pick the speed of the processor, the amount of RAM, the size of the hard drive, and other components. It was kind of like ordering a pizza with your favorite toppings, but for a powerful piece of technology that would become essential to your life or business. Once the order was placed, it was sent directly to a Dell factory. This is where the magic happened. The factory did not have large piles of finished computers waiting to be sold. Instead, it had organized bins filled with all the different components: motherboards, processors, memory sticks, and video cards. As soon as an order came in, workers would start assembling the computer according to the customer's exact specifications. This build-to-order system meant that Dell only built a computer after it had already been paid for, a fundamental difference from its rivals. This process was incredibly fast and efficient. Because Dell built each computer to order, it did not need to keep a large inventory of finished goods. Holding inventory is expensive for any company. It ties up money, takes up space, and the value of technology parts drops very quickly. By avoiding this, Dell saved a lot of money. These savings were then passed on to the customer, which is why Dell computers were often cheaper than those from competitors like IBM or Compaq. It was a lean and mean operation, designed for speed and cost-effectiveness from the ground up. After the computer was built and tested, it was shipped directly from the factory to the customer's home or office. There was no warehouse, no distributor, and no retail store involved in the final delivery. This direct path not only saved money, but also time. Customers received their custom-built machines quickly, often within a week of placing their order. This entire process, from order to delivery, was a tightly controlled supply chain that gave Dell a massive advantage in the market, making it a model of efficiency that other industries would study for years to come. The direct model was a game-changer for several important reasons. First and foremost, it gave customers immense power and choice. Before Dell, you bought what was on the shelf. With Dell, you became the architect of your own machine. This level of customization was unheard of at the time. It created a loyal customer base that felt a special connection to the brand. They weren't just buying a product, they were buying a computer that they had helped design. This personal investment in the product made customers feel understood and valued, which is a powerful tool for building brand loyalty. Second, the financial advantages were enormous. The build-to-order system created what is known as a negative cash conversion cycle. This is a fancy way of saying that Dell got paid by its customers before it had to pay its suppliers for the parts. Imagine getting paid for a product before you even finish making it. This gave Dell a huge cash advantage, allowing it to fund its rapid growth without needing to borrow a lot of money. This financial strength enabled Dell to invest in technology and expand its operations globally, all while keeping its prices competitively low. Third, the direct model gave Dell a direct line of communication with its customers. This was an invaluable source of information. Dell knew exactly what features were popular and which ones were not. It could see trends in the market as they happened, in real time. If customers started ordering more powerful graphics cards, Dell knew there was a growing demand for gaming or design. This direct feedback loop allowed the company to adapt quickly to changing customer needs, an agility that its competitors who relied on retailer feedback simply could not match. Finally, this lean supply chain minimized waste. In the fast-moving world of technology, computer parts become outdated very quickly. A processor that is top of the line today might be average in 6 months. Companies that held large inventories of computers risked being stuck with old, less valuable products. Dell's model of building to order meant it always used the latest components. It never had a warehouse full of obsolete machines. This just-in-time approach was the key to its success, making it the most efficient PC manufacturer on the planet and the envy of the industry. For many years, Dell's direct model seemed unbeatable. The company grew at an incredible pace, becoming the world's largest PC maker. But in the mid-2000s, the world started to change, and cracks began to appear in Dell's seemingly perfect system. One of the biggest changes was the rise of laptops and mobile devices. Customers buying laptops wanted to see and feel them before they made a purchase. They wanted to test the keyboard, check the screen quality, and feel how heavy it was. The direct model, which relied on selling sight unseen, was not ideal for this new market. At the same time, the PC market was maturing. The differences in performance between computers from different brands became smaller. Most computers were good enough for what the average person needed, like browsing the internet and sending emails. Price and customization, which were Dell's main advantages, became less important. Customers started caring more about design, ease of use, and the experience of buying the product. The very things that made Dell strong were becoming less of a deciding factor for a growing number of consumers who were looking for more than just raw specifications. Another major challenge came from its competitors. Companies like HP and Acer learned from Dell. They made their own supply chains more efficient. They began to close the price gap, offering competitively priced computers in retail stores where customers could see and touch them. These competitors had a strong presence in stores like Best Buy and Walmart, places where millions of people shopped every week. Dell, by sticking only to its direct model, was missing out on this huge segment of the market. It was like having a great product but only selling it in one part of town. Finally, customer expectations were shifting. As more people bought technology, they wanted simpler and more immediate service. They wanted to be able to walk into a store to ask a question or get help with a problem. Dell's telephone and online support was good, but it couldn't replace the convenience of face-to-face interaction. The direct model, which had been a source of strength, was now becoming a limitation. Dell was an expert at selling to businesses and tech-savvy individuals, but it was struggling to connect with the everyday consumer who valued simplicity and convenience above all else. The world had changed, and Dell knew it had to change with it. By 2010, it was clear that a major change was needed. The old way of doing things was no longer enough to stay on top. The company, with Michael Dell back as CEO, embarked on a massive transformation. The goal was to build a new supply chain that was more flexible, responsive, and customer-focused. This wasn't about abandoning the direct model entirely, but instead evolving it to meet the new realities of the market. The new strategy was about giving customers a choice. They could still buy directly from Dell online, or they could find Dell products in a retail store near them. The first big move was to embrace retail. For years, Dell had seen retailers as unnecessary middlemen. Now it saw them as essential partners. Dell started building relationships with major retailers around the world, like Best Buy, Walmart, and Staples. This was a huge strategic shift. It meant that for the first time, customers could walk into a store, see a Dell laptop, and take it home that same day. This decision immediately opened up a massive new customer base that preferred the traditional retail experience, instantly expanding Dell's market reach. This move into retail required completely new skills and processes. Dell had to learn how to manage inventory in thousands of different stores. It had to get good at predicting which models would sell well in which locations. This is very different from the build-to-order system. It required a new way of thinking about the supply chain. Instead of just reacting to individual orders, Dell now had to proactively plan and forecast demand for a wide range of products across a vast and varied retail landscape. It was a complex challenge that required significant investment in new systems. At the same time, Dell doubled down on improving its direct business. The company invested heavily in its website, making it easier and more intuitive for customers to configure and order their computers. It also used technology to make its core build-to-order process even faster and more efficient. The new strategy was a hybrid approach. It combined the strengths of the old direct model with the broad reach of retail. This multi-channel strategy was designed to give customers the best of both worlds, allowing them to buy a Dell product however and wherever they wanted. To support this new hybrid strategy, Dell had to completely rebuild its supply chain. The old system was designed for one thing: building computers to order and shipping them directly. The new system needed to do much more. It had to manage the custom orders from the website, and it also had to keep thousands of retail stores stocked with the right products at the right time. This required a much more sophisticated and intelligent supply chain, one that could handle complexity and uncertainty with grace and precision, moving from a single-lane road to a multi-lane highway. A key part of the new plan was investing in advanced technology. Dell implemented powerful new software to improve its forecasting. This software used data analytics and machine learning to predict customer demand more accurately. It looked at historical sales data, market trends, and even things like social media chatter to figure out what customers would want to buy next. This allowed Dell to make smarter decisions about which products to build and where to send them, reducing the risk of having too much of one product and not enough of another, a common problem in retail. Dell also re-engineered its inventory strategy. Instead of a purely build-to-order system, it moved to a configure-to-order model for many of its products. This meant that Dell would pre-assemble base models of its most popular computers and keep them in regional hubs close to customers. When an order came in, the final customization, like adding more memory or a different hard drive, could be done at the hub. This allowed Dell to deliver customized computers much faster, sometimes even the next day, combining the benefits of customization with the speed of an off-the-shelf purchase. The company also focused on making its entire supply chain more visible and collaborative. It built a control tower system that gave it a real-time view of its entire global operation, from the suppliers providing the parts to the trucks delivering the final products. This visibility allowed Dell to spot potential problems, like a shipping delay or a parts shortage, and react to them quickly before they affected the customer. This proactive management was a huge step forward, turning the supply chain from a simple delivery mechanism into a strategic, intelligent network. Dell's journey into retail was built on the foundation of strong partnerships. The company understood that it couldn't succeed in stores without working closely with the retailers themselves. It wasn't just about putting boxes on a shelf, it was about creating a great customer experience. Dell worked with retailers like Best Buy to create special Dell Experience Zones within their stores. These areas allowed customers to try out different laptops and desktops, with trained staff on hand to answer questions. This helped to bring the brand to life in a way that an online store never could. These partnerships were a two-way street. Dell provided the retailers with high-quality products and marketing support. In return, the retailers gave Dell valuable shelf space and access to millions of customers. More importantly, they provided a constant stream of data about what was selling. This retail sales data was fed back into Dell's new forecasting systems. It helped Dell understand regional preferences and seasonal trends, allowing it to fine-tune its production and inventory plans to better serve the needs of local markets across the country and around the world. Beyond retail, Dell also strengthened its partnerships with its component suppliers, like Intel and Microsoft. The company moved towards a more collaborative relationship. Instead of just placing orders, Dell started working with its suppliers on joint product planning and design. This deeper collaboration meant that Dell could get early access to new technologies and integrate them into its products faster. It also helped to ensure a more stable and reliable supply of critical components, reducing the risk of production delays that could hurt sales and customer satisfaction. This network of partnerships, with retailers, technology providers, and logistics companies, became a core strength of Dell's new supply chain. The company realized that in the modern economy, you can't do everything yourself. Success depends on your ability to build and manage a strong ecosystem of partners who are all working towards the same goal. This collaborative approach made Dell's supply chain more resilient, agile, and responsive to the needs of a diverse and rapidly changing global market, proving that teamwork makes the dream work even for a corporate giant. The results of Dell's sweeping transformation were impressive and clear. The new supply chain strategy delivered significant improvements across the board, proving that the difficult changes were well worth the effort. One of the most important metrics was delivery speed. By positioning inventory in regional hubs and using the configure-to-order model, Dell dramatically cut down the time it took for customers to receive their computers. What once took a week or more could now often be accomplished in just 1 or 2 days, delighting customers and giving Dell a new competitive edge in a market that values speed. Another major success was in inventory management. While moving into retail meant holding more finished products, Dell's advanced forecasting technology allowed it to manage this inventory with incredible precision. The company was able to reduce the total amount of inventory it held in its supply chain, even as its sales volume grew. This freed up billions of dollars in cash and reduced the risk of being stuck with outdated products. It showed that Dell had mastered the complex balancing act of having products available for immediate purchase without creating wasteful and costly surpluses. The accuracy of its demand forecasting also saw a massive improvement. The combination of direct sales data, real-time retail information, and powerful analytics gave Dell an unparalleled view of the market. The company got much better at predicting which products would be popular, leading to fewer stockouts of high-demand items and less excess inventory of slow-moving ones. This accuracy translated directly into higher sales and better profitability. It meant more happy customers finding exactly what they wanted and a healthier bottom line for the company. Ultimately, the biggest measure of success was improved customer satisfaction. The new hybrid model gave customers the flexibility they craved. Whether they were a tech expert who wanted to custom build a powerhouse machine online, or a family looking to buy their first laptop at a local store, Dell could now serve them effectively. This increased flexibility, combined with faster delivery and better product availability, led to a stronger brand reputation and a return to robust growth. Dell had successfully navigated its crisis and emerged as a stronger, more adaptable, and more customer-centric company. The story of Dell's supply chain revolution offers powerful lessons for any business, in any industry. The most important lesson is simple: you must be willing to adapt. The business strategy that makes you successful today might not work tomorrow. Markets change, technology evolves, and customer expectations shift. Companies that are too rigid and too attached to their old ways of doing things risk being left behind. Dell's willingness to question its own legendary direct model was the key to its survival and renewed success. It shows that no strategy is sacred when the world changes around you. Another key takeaway is the importance of listening to your customers. Dell's decline began when it lost touch with the needs of the average consumer. Its comeback was driven by a renewed focus on understanding and serving a wider range of customer preferences. The move into retail was a direct response to customers who wanted to see and touch products before buying. The lesson here is that the customer should always be at the center of your strategy. Businesses must constantly ask, what do our customers want, and how can we make it easier for them to get it? Dell's story also highlights the power of technology as a tool for transformation. Dell didn't just change its strategy, it invested in the advanced systems needed to make that strategy work. Data analytics, machine learning, and supply chain visibility software were not just buzzwords. They were the engines that powered the company's comeback. This teaches us that a modern business cannot compete without embracing modern tools. Investing in technology to understand data and manage complexity is no longer optional. It is essential for staying competitive in the 21st century. Finally, Dell's journey is a testament to the power of resilience. The company faced a major crisis that threatened its very existence. Instead of giving up, its leaders made brave decisions, took calculated risks, and guided the organization through a period of profound change. They transformed a weakness, an outdated model, into a new strength, a flexible, hybrid supply chain that was the best of both worlds. The ultimate lesson from Dell is one of optimism and courage. It shows that even when faced with enormous challenges, a company can reinvent itself and emerge stronger than ever before.